Hey everybody, it's Conscious Medium Brandon Ross. I want to thank you so much for joining us here today. And I also want to join our new... I screwed it up already. This is a part where they turn me off and go, no, forget about it. AstroSeek, astro-seek.com is an all-in-one encompassing astrology website. They want to see what I can do with some topics on their material. So this video is going to be all about AstroSeek. I can't wait to have them as a sponsor. And moreover, I can't wait to use their tools. They're user-friendly. It's easy to find, and it's already loaded with a whole bunch of cool stuff. Like the topic of today's video, when we take a look at Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Now, listen, if your sensibilities are a little bit more about staying out of other people's bedroom, especially when they use it as a toilet, I understand that you might not necessarily know what's going on with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, but in a very kind of brief sort of way, I'm not really interested in all of the particulars and all of the medications and all the diagnoses and so forth and so on. I am interested to see their interaction in astrology. Where are their lessons? Where are the places where they could have made commitments? Where are the places where they might have gone wrong? And how they might have interacted on a day-to-day basis. And again, I'm not necessarily worried about the details. However, we'll take some of those details and take a look at it. So again, another shout out to my astro-seek.com friends. Thank you so much for considering sponsoring Medium T Brandon Ross channel here. We are growing on a daily basis, and I'm glad you guys are willing to give me a shot here. So before further ado, I always want to talk about some of my efforts around here and talk about the Empath Rising. We are still, and very much so, working with supporting the Ukraine effort. The war is still going on. Those of you that saw my video the other day understand that that was a very important time for peace to kind of get into motion. We're still supporting the refugees. The refugees will go on long after this war, everyone. We're supporting the Be Strong Foundation. And Ms. Frankel was nice enough to give us an acknowledgement not too long ago. We continue to donate on a monthly basis. Whatever your donations are, they keep getting funneled right to them. So thank you again so much. All right, guys, so without further ado, we're going to dive right into our good friend Johnny Depp. I'm not going to use any of their likenesses so this doesn't get tagged or brought down, but I am going to use the most intimate part of their being, and that is their astrological chart. Thank you so much again, guys, for joining us. We're going to pull up Johnny's chart here. And again, look at how user-friendly this is. This is one of the things that I really like about AstroSeek is that I pulled up Johnny Depp's, information. By the way, it was already preloaded. I didn't have to go digging for anything. Thank you very much. Cut out my time. My research person just went, thank you so much. Very cool. By the way, date and time is in here. Where Amber Heard, it was really difficult to find a time. They actually go with no time. And I'll talk about that here in a second. But taking a look at his overall chart, this is kind of what's known as locomotive chart. He's kind of all over the place, as in like it's kind of like moving like a locomotive, right? Almost close to a splay. He's in at least 8 of the houses here. He's got a couple of conjuncts. We're going to talk about that. And the part that I really like about this, and I'm gonna actually make this a little bit larger, is right here you see where on the right hand side you can actually see the houses that they're in. This is incredibly important for chart analysis, and if you're, whether you're new at this or you're a rookie or you've been doing it for a while, boy oh boy, it cuts out everything else. Those of us that really learned astrology from the ground up started with those big green sheets with the big circle and everything else, and it was just a blank sheet of paper. It was a canvas, really. As much as I appreciate that, the world moves so much faster than the 3 months it would take me to finish Johnny Depp's chart. So I am really happy to be partnered here with the astroseek.com people. So onto the chart here. A couple of things right out of the gate that we're not going to mince words with. Johnny was meant to be famous. We're going to bring this up, move it right here to the center. Boy, oh boy, thank you OBS for being free. So he's a Gemini. He's got Capricorn moon, and his rising is in Leo. Boy, oh boy, something about Leo rising, everybody. They're meant to be either famous, popular, or in charge. So there's nothing wrong with his chart in terms of him becoming who he is meant to be. He also, with a Gemini personality in the 11th house, as you see up here in the planet positions, he is one of those chaps that are just going to be well-liked no matter what it is. Even though you think you may need to kind of bring a bar of soap to him and clean him up a little bit, you still find something incredibly endearing and charming to him, right? His moon is in his 6th house in Capricorn, which means that his relationship with his body and his surroundings really have to be foundational. He actually needs something of foundation. Foundation is a key word to this entire transaction here today. Foundation. Now he talks like a Taurus. He loves like a Taurus in the 10th house. In the 10th house, of course, this is about his career. And I just want to bring up another tool here, right here. Those of you that are in my complete astrology class right now, you're seeing some of these tools out right now. And I'll just put this anywhere. I'll just put this right over my head. It's the moneymaker, everybody. Can we not cover it? Thank you so much. It's the blue eyes. Anywho. So we have tools developed like this, handouts, quick sheets, that sort of thing, that really kind of help our students understand where things are. Now, you can find some of these things on the internet, sure, but when you sign up for our classes here, we make sure you have everything right up front. It's standardized. It's kind of gone through the ringer. It's going through its last ringer right now. We still find boo-boos, but we're human. But one of the things that we feel very strongly about is that if you have the tools, you can make you can make the changes. So taking a look here into the 10th house, Capricorn being really kind of foundational and about your projection out into the world, your career, what you're meant to do, status, reputation. So Johnny Depp, the way his chart is set up, and again, let's not forget, I say this often, the astrological chart is your DNA and thumbprint combined with your personality, with your tools of what you're meant to do, the things you're meant to accomplish, the pieces that you might be challenged with. All of these things are fantastic. Now, also the first house, his rising house, he kind of has two primary houses here. So he doubles down with Mercury and Venus in his 10th house. So he's going to have a love and a passion. He's going to be a great communicator. He's going to be a great orator, actor, musician, politician. All those things are great with those positions. Don't forget it's in Taurus. We're going to talk about that too. By the way, also 10th house Taurus right here, buddy. That's why me and Johnny are like twins like that. But I haven't done cocaine for the last 25 years, so there's a little bit of a difference, allegedly. And then in the first house, he's got Mars and Uranus. Now, Mars and Uranus, they are in a conjunct position here, right? And his first house being Virgo, right? So his first, this is a really interesting chart, or Leo rather. He's got a really cool dynamic because in his Leo rising, right? He's all about making sure that he gets out there, that he's famous, that he's kind of getting there, right? Now Uranus and Mars are actually in Virgo. Now, how does that happen, right? They're in the first house. You just called it Leo. And then how can you say it was in Virgo? Well, here we go, everybody. Take a deep breath. Astrology 101 is here. Because of the Placidus and the bend of the houses are not always exact to the way that the astrological signs are. So in his chart, and we can even pull it up here, in his chart, so he's got this Leo love going on. Yeah, this is great. And by the way, current class, I hope you guys see this. This is a great freaking example of this. So he has Uranus and he has Mars in his first house, right? You see this angle right here, his first house. And right here, it's in Mercury. However, the majority of his first house is Leo rising. That is how your planets end up in a little bit of a different spot than just saying, oh, rising, it has to be Leo. No. Common misconception. But most people aren't able to eloquently talk about it or be able to really kind of draw that comparison or understand that piece to it. So there's a little lesson for everybody right there. So what does that mean, right? So Virgo is, of course, about getting it right, a little bit of OCD, a little bit of kind of getting it there, or just giving up, right? Uranus being the planet of rebellion, Mars being the planet of war and masculine energy. It's sitting here in his first house so he can be a different cat, man, right? And he becomes a student of the things that he does because he's got that little, he's got that personality trait. So what happens is that Uranus and Mars actually take on the characteristics of being in Virgo. Those traits of like, the rebellion will be done correctly because we're trying to right the wrong. We're trying to get there. The Mars is going to be, I'm going to use my masculine energy to make sure that we progress in the right way. Kind of important when you need to sue your wife for defamation, huh? Big piece here, right? And then the Leo itself being rising is about your personality, your outgoing nature, right? Being able to kind of step into a limelight and say, I own this. So he's going to use behind the scenes his drive. Ultimately, if I didn't know better, I would say this is somebody that wants to be famous so that he can make a difference in the world and change the way that thought happens. His vices, though, are sitting in his sixth house, right? You'll see that his moon is sitting in his sixth house, right? So that's his emotional value. You also have his node. Things get complicated quickly when you start talking nodes. It's all about the nodes. And his south node is there. So in a past life, he did not take all the opportunities that he meant to take. So he has those challenges with his emotions. So he might kind of bag on it. He might kind of be like, whatever. And in true opposition, his sun and moon are almost kind of in an opposite position. Not quite. But it's off center just enough for him to be able to kind of drive the antithesis of things, right? Kind of an interesting chart. You can see why he's famous when you look at his 10th house, right? Let's take a look at that for 30 seconds as we look at his Mercury, right? And we take a look at his Venus. So his love and his passion are all about getting there. Now, the 10th house in Taurus, well, that's all about being driven. It's being stubborn. It's saying, I'm going to be successful no matter what. Johnny Depp went to Hollywood to become a musician, was sacking out on Nicolas Cage's couch, and he said, why don't you try out for this piece? Next thing you know, he's in one movie. He's spotted by other people. One of his big breakout movies, even before Edward Scissorhand, was a movie called Crybaby. What was his name? Waters found him and kind of said, hey, you're kind of the perfect person. And it's interesting the way that things really took off. And he testified that he never really wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be a musician. Well, he was destined for fame no matter what. The creative arts are here for him, and they really kind of show up in two pieces. First of all, his Chiron is in his 8th house. He's in Pisces. So his healing is going to be very fastidious for him to be able to draw in healing energy about not being dreamy, not being disillusioned, right? He's got to be very real in the moment. Well, isn't it funny that he's playing bombastic characters that are, fantasy people of a cross between Keith Richards and a baby toddler? Again, he also testified to that. Some fascinating stories out of the backstories of how Johnny Depp came to be. I don't like the salaciousness so much, but I really do appreciate the idea that he's sharing the stories about how he came to be, right? So that's kind of cool. So listen, let's put him away for a second. Let's bring in Amanda. She's going to show up. Amanda's going to be on my face here for a second. And then all of you can chuckle on your own time. So her son, by the way, there is an anomaly here about her house system not being able to be complete, right? Because she doesn't have an exact time of her birth date, right? It's not known. They've been able to keep that private. People that like deception have that in there. But you can extrapolate things like the behavior of the moon. There are things of the angle. You'll notice here that they talk about she's got a moon in Libra, and her, and they've got the 3 times there. And, a Libra moon in comparison to his Capricorn moon, her Libra moon is really kind of all about balance. Oh, remember that foundational thing, right? She tends to get caught up in the moment. She tends to, be very, I don't even know if I want to say she gets caught up in the moment as much as I want to say that she wants, friendships are a thing and people have to like her. And then the Capricorn moon is, the emotions kind of get pushed down, they get pushed down for a lot of reasons. If you don't have the internal barometer and thermostat to turn it down, you may use drugs and alcohol. That's a thing. They can be highly critical. So there's a little bit of an insight here. And again, I'm not picking a side. But in Johnny Depp's personality trait with his moon, Capricorn moons can be very much like, are you going to wear that? You never want to ask, do I look fat in this? Because they're going to be like, well, yeah, actually, you're kind of a chunky monkey. Capricorn moons will have that brutal honesty connected to it. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that so long as he's coming at it from a place of love and if that's a sarcasm and what have you. But clearly, there it is. One of the other things about Capricorn moons is that you have to have a lot of self-health to this. And his Capricorn moon is in the 6th house. So health and well-being, mental stability is really important. Now, over to Amber. We can't really talk about which houses this is in because we don't really know what time it is. Right? Now, if she was born at midnight, she was going to be at 41, 12 noon, 7:05, and then later on in the day, midnight it'd be, 15:05. She was going to be a Libra moon no matter what, right? So she was also born, I did look this up, on the calendar date, and she was a waxing Gibbons, which is a really important thing. We actually dive into this in our classes because she was born under a waning moon, which astrologically really talks about perseverance. So she's somebody that's going to want to go down with the ship with her emotions. That's a key thing. That is a key thing because that's what you're actually seeing on court TV right now. You are seeing someone say, "You've done me wrong. I'm going to completely, if not totally, and willingly shoot you to go down with the ship." It's almost like the Scorpio and the frog, right? I'm going to sting you because that's what I do. And that's what she's doing right now. By the way, she's in Taurus. Don't forget his communication houses. The appeal here is in his 10th house is Taurus. She is a Taurus. Now, some astrologers will say that's horse hockey. You're reading into it. You're saying it's speculation, Your Honor. But I truly believe that one of the attractive pieces are where the signs sit. Johnny probably looked at her as a career possibility, right? Or something like, hey, this is somebody in the business that understands what I'm going through, so forth and so on. She looked at him and said, I'm going to ride your effing coattails. It's in her chart. Because taking a look at her Mercury in Aries, this is why she's such a curt woman. And when I say curt, she's short and to the point. Venus in Taurus, just like Johnny. So there's a lot of passion between the two of them, a lot of attraction, a lot of understanding, a lot of connection. But at the end of the day, it's sitting in the 10th house. Now, we can't tell which house it is with her. Boy, wouldn't that be something. If I had to kind of like throw a dart at this and say like where her 10th house is, I would not be surprised if her 10th house was actually in Taurus. So you can't really call her rising either because of that. So you're really kind of just left with the planets and the planet influences. And by the way, if you've watched any of the trial, and I probably watched about a half hour total of like 10 5-minute clips, you'll notice that Amber's team is all about not really showing anything. So of course we're not able to get her full chart. But we can talk about the influence of the planets and certainly into the sun. So it's an incomplete chart, accept that as it is, right? And then she's a Mars in Capricorn because that entire day it was during Capricorn. So let's recap. His moon is in Capricorn, right? Her Mars is in Capricorn. Mars is the argument. Mars is the fight. Mars is the masculine energy. It's the survival. His moon is paired up there. Kind of interesting, isn't it, folks? By the way, her Chiron and Lilith are in Gemini. He is a Sun Gemini. Again, speculation, Your Honor. However, I'm going to say to you that her healing comes from a Gemini place. Having a Gemini as a partner there would be really important, right? Now, we know it's in Lilith, but not necessarily knowing which house because she's so damn secretive. But look at the correlation between his Gemini. So there's something in his essence that was healing for her, right? Her North Node is in Aries, in retrograde. The dynamic of that is that her healing presence needs to be something where she needs to learn that the traits of Aries, which is being, forward and driven and too driven, could actually be her undoing. Now I'm talking a little bit like the 12th house, and we can only speculate here. But the North Node lessons for Aries. I'm actually going to bring up one of my other charts here. I don't know if I can get it on the screen. I should have done it beforehand. But one of the dynamics of Chiron is really to be, and I can say this because I'm an Aries Chiron, that Aries Chiron is about mastering your own emotions, and depending upon where that, node is, that North Node in Aries, right? And that Chiron in Gemini, sorry, I reversed it there. Thank you, astroseek.com, for giving me the chance and opportunity to screw this up and be self-correcting. I reserve the right to change and to gain more information and to get it right. So, back on the chart here, the North Node in Aries. So she's trying to, in this life, understand that driven doesn't need to be excessive. How's your court case going, hun? Right? And let me pull up my Chiron chart for for Gemini here. And it's interesting because you see it played out in live time, right? And for her, Gemini is all about the duality, right? It's the classic duality, right? You have Pisces, you have Gemini, you have Libra, where there's just natural duality in each one of those signs, right? Well, in Chiron, it's about understanding that there is a gentle balance between perseverance and humility. Amber Heard is literally learning a valuable lesson in front of everybody. Johnny Depp is understanding the wiles of understanding that he's had 5 major girlfriends. And by the way, all of them are very similar body type. All of them are very similar attributes. All of them are very similarly connected to things. My advice, Johnny, find somebody that's on the peripheral of the business and connect with them, that they understand what's going on, but they're not driven. She's 23 years younger, dude. I've seen this before, and I've even been subject to some of this, where when somebody feels like they're not the center of attention, they become irrational. Johnny Depp created the environment for her to have the worst come out in her. Now, I'm not excusing her behavior at all, but I'm telling you her lesson in this is that she can't treat people the way she does and think that she can get away with it. She's being held accountable. He is literally fulfilling what is going on in her North Node. Now, I'm really interested in 3 and 6 and 20 years down the road when Amber talks about this experience, because I want to pull up their chart together. She is being given a huge opportunity right there in my face, the two of them. And by the way, I really like that they break this down on AstroSeek, where they have one sincere, loving aspect. They don't have any key aspects, so don't give me any crap about them being soulmates. Don't give me any junk about them being, connected to... I have to be on screen at least a little bit. Don't give me any crap about them being, connected to that aspect of it. So on the right is Johnny Depp. On the left is Amber Heard, right? It's almost like you can start to connect the dots. She's a Taurus, Mercury and Venus. Venus right across, the lines right up together. A lot of love, a lot of passion, a lot of stubbornness, a lot of very long late nights and let the candle burn all the way down, if you know what I'm saying. It's not Barry White's fault. The Mars with, Virgo in comparison to Capricorn, there's a lot of, and that's why, this is actually why they're arguing the way that they're arguing, a lot of fact-based things. Oh yeah, you did that. Oh yeah, I did that. Like being able to say, well, I could prove it. That's how they ended up in court. They ended up in court because of this aspect right here. Mars is like doing this. 2 earth signs telling each other to screw off, right? Jupiter, gosh, look at the difference. So when you get into the generational houses, this is the difference of 23 years. The elder, right? Jupiter in Pisces. and then Jupiter in Aries. By the way, that was an Aries return, or that was a Jupiter return by the time she was born, almost twice. 12 years there. Saturn. Then you have Uranus. I mean, you've just got this generational thing. So, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, when somebody's 5 or 10 years older than you, okay, there's going to be natural differences. But there are such incredible differences. And I'm not talking analytical differences. I'm talking about at 23 years difference, the elder, they don't even speak the same language when it comes to cultural settings. So the only thing they really had in common was their career, right? I'm pretty sure they didn't have any children, and the attraction was there. I mean, and again, I'm not being misogynist about this. Amber should have looked at Johnny as a good time and walked away from it, and vice versa. Amber must have seen something where she could have gained, because in her chart, her Lilith is in Gemini. She found something attractive about Johnny's essence that she needed to connect with. Her healing was in Chiron, and also in Gemini. So her lesson is playing right the freak out right now in front of everybody. And again, you can't do the comparison of the 10th house. That would have been really interesting, because I think they're very driven towards the 10th house. And again, at the end of the day, there's a component of this that is just fantastic. That Amber is literally being drawn through her emotional imbalances. And again, I don't want to talk about, none of us are qualified to speculate her medical conditions or anything else, but I'll tell you what, Johnny's action in the 6th house is 100% can be physical and mental, right? She knew how to prey on him, and he looked at her as in 23 years younger, how do you not come home and go, you're giving me a hard time? Come on, right? And again, a great job by astroseek.com right here. Passion aspects, emotional aspects, really breaks it down. I love using their tools. I want you guys to visit them, plug in your own stuff, take a look at your own things. You want to see how you'd be in a relationship with Johnny Depp, go ahead, type in your stuff, and then compare it to his chart. You're welcome, ladies. By the way, I heard he's available. However, he might have quite a few strict rules, like where the bathroom is. Anyways, I digress. Really, that's the funny part about this case. It kind of kills me a little bit. Who does that stuff? I mean, who can we just be adults for 20 minutes? I want to do some videos that will be coming up here that I'm going to be doing things like musical groups like Kiss and Led Zeppelin. I want to look at their creative energies and how they all kind of come together. The relationship stuff is really cool. Relationship astrology is fantastic. But on the flip side of that, I also really like to see why things work and how they work from an astrological standpoint. My friends at AstroSeek are actually going to be a great partner for me. I really thank you guys for giving me this opportunity so that I can use your tools and help educate people and really kind of inform them of the energy and the weather of astrology into everybody's life. All right, guys, so listen, I'm going to sign off here. I want to keep my videos a little bit shorter here, under 30 minutes. Thank you so much for coming in. And remember to support us here at the Empath Rising. If you want to schedule a reading, go ahead and click on my link tree. And really looking forward to expanding all of this. Since we can't be together, we're going to do the heart tap and tell each other we care and love for one another. And I just want to remind you to simply keep going. See you guys soon. Thanks again.